What's up, DS3 TV? I am about to get into this video right here. I know I haven't been on in a minute, but yeah, let's get into it. And subscribe to the channel. 1,000 subscribers by my birthday, September 13th, and we're getting pretty close to the goal. I know it kind of slowed down probably because I haven't been putting out videos like that, but yeah, let's get into it. And yeah, we're gonna watch Miscellaneous Myths over the Sarcastic Productions, the Cowherd and the Weaver Girl. So this should be pretty good. It's their newest, I think it's their newest video. And, yeah, let's get into it. And, yeah, also, you can recommend videos down in the comment section down below. And I will react to them. And, yeah, let's get into it. And, play.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but for the last, year and a half-ish, the majority of humanity was,
Wait. I cannot hear.
Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but for the last, year and a half-ish, the majority of humanity was, shall we say, confined to the indoors. Travel options were very limited, and for various reasons, social engagements were greatly reduced. But for the last, year and a half-ish, the majority of humanity was, shall we say, confined to the indoors. Travel options were very limited, and for various reasons, social engagements were greatly reduced. Stuck in one place and with nothing to capture my attention but the entire corpus of all human knowledge and every if you're aware of this, but for the last, year and a half-ish, the majority of humanity...
Oh, okay. So I just understand okay. Last time we started this, I just understand where it's coming from now. Like, this earbud went out, so I gotta turn over to this one. Alright. At some point we'll get new headphones, maybe when I start getting paid from YouTube. Yeah, let's get into it and play.
Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but for the last, year and a half-ish, the majority of humanity was, shall we say, confined to the indoors. Travel options were very limited, and for various reasons, social engagements were greatly reduced.
We like to forget about that time. That's called the end of times. The end times are gone now.
Stuck in one place and with nothing to capture my attention but the entire corpus of all human knowledge and every movie ever made, I ended up coping with the isolation by developing something of an archaic hobby, stargazing. And it turns out, the more time you spend staring at the sky, the more stuff you notice about it. What?
Honestly, and that's why, honestly, if I made like an Amazon wish list, I would definitely probably want a telescope because I love space and everything about it. Everything about space literally amazes me every time I see it. So yeah, I don't know. It just makes me feel like a kid to look at space. I don't know. It makes me happy. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's get back into the video.
What were the odds? And when you've got very little to do most nights but stare up at a very slowly shifting pattern of lights, you end up noticing the little changes. Sure, the moon is the most obvious, shifting phases every night and rising later every day, and if you've got an eye for it, you can even spot the planets in slightly different relative positions every night. But if you've been staring at the sky for, say, a week, you might notice the familiar stars have shifted too. And within a brisk 365.256 days, the sun makes a complete circuit through the fixed stars, and the night sky returns to its starting position, discounting the moon and planets, which are just kind of doing their own thing.
Also, you'll probably notice it more if you're not in a very light polluted place. Like if you're not in a city, because if you're in a city, you most likely won't see that many stars. Yeah, so that's also a thing too.
As it turns out, when you don't have a lot else going on, the sky changing is one of the easiest ways to keep track of time passing. Who knew, right? Someone should write this down. Now, I started getting serious with the stargazing back in June of 2020, when the most prominently visible star in the night sky was this little guy, Vega. A mere 25 light-years away and only slightly dimmer than Arcturus, Vega is kind of a superstar, pun absolutely intended, in the field of astronomical observation. It was the first star besides the sun to be photographed way back in 1850, and in 1872 it was the first star to have its electromagnetic spectrum officially recorded. It's used as a baseline point of comparison when measuring the brightness of stars and classifying them by spectral type. It's also just very bright and easy to spot during the northern hemisphere summer months when it forms the large asterism the Summer Triangle with the stars Deneb and Altair. Vega is part of the constellation Lyra, which is usually seen as a vulture or eagle. Deneb and Altair are in similar boats, found in the constellations Cygnus and Aquila, respectively a swan and an eagle. All three of these bird constellations were part of Ptolemy's original 48 traditional Greek constellations set down in the 100 CE, but they were most likely derived from the earlier Babylonian star catalogs. But it wasn't just the
As we remember, we did watch the star catalogs and every in every like civilization had their own thoughts of which one it was, if which one was which.
Mediterranean that saw bird-like significance in this cluster of stars. As early as 800 years prior, China was telling the story of a tragic, doomed romance between the stars Vega and Altair, and by the Han Dynasty, the myth had its own festival celebrating the one day of the year the lovers could be reunited, the Qixi Festival held on the 7th day of the 7th lunar month. So let's talk about it. Now our story begins a little vaguely. This kind of folkloric myth doesn't really have an original version, at least not one that we have access to. It's not strictly codified anywhere, and while the very basic structure of the story is always the same, there's a lot of variation in the specific details. The myth also has slightly different versions in Japan and Korea, celebrated on their own festival days. So we don't have a definitive telling to go on, but the general gist is that one night, 7 divine sisters, all daughters of the Jade Emperor and the Queen Mother of the West, descend from the heavens to take a little skinny dip in a local lake. The youngest of these sisters is Genie, literally Weaver Girl, a minor goddess whose general duties involve weaving rainbows and colorful clouds. So while the Weaver Girl and the others are splashing around having a grand old time, a local cowherd called Neolang, which literally just means cowherd, hears the commotion and heads out to investigate. And when he spots the goddesses, he
Cowboy, so I mean that probably makes more sense to more people, I think.
decides it'd be a great idea to see what happens if he steals their clothes. So the ladies finish up their party and gear up to leave, only to find that their clothes are missing, which kind of scuttles the whole sneaking back into heaven inconspicuously plan. The Weaver Girl finds the cowherd and retrieves the clothes, but seeing as he's seen her naked now, she decides that she should stay on Earth with him rather than returning to heaven, since it wouldn't be proper not to marry him after that. And also less problematically because they've fallen madly in love at first sight. Yep.
Makes sense.
Their 6 sisters reluctantly return to heaven while the Weaver Girl and the cowherd get happily married, forge a beautiful life together on Earth, and have 2 children. But the Weaver Girl's absence doesn't go unnoticed for long. The Queen Mother of the West realizes she's missing and finds out about her forbidden marriage with this random mortal dude. She orders the Weaver Girl to return to her heavenly duties immediately, and with no real way to turn down the Queen of Heaven herself, the Weaver Girl complies, reluctantly leaving Earth and going back to her boring daily routine of weaving magical clouds and rainbows and stuff. Ugh, back to the grind, am I right? Now obviously, the cowherd is none too pleased to find that his wife has gone missing, and with the help of his super intelligent ox who he's had this whole time, don't even worry about it, he takes his children and sails up into the heavens after the Weaver Girl. But their heartfelt reunion is scuttled by the Queen Mother of the West, who tears the sky with her hairpin, forming the Silver River between them. With no way across, the Weaver Girl and the cowherd are left forever separated. The Weaver Girl as the star Vega, and the cowherd and their children as Altair and the 2 dimmer stars that hang out around it.
That's such a beautiful story. That is such a beautiful story. Wow. Tragic, but beautiful.
Silver River is the arc of the Milky Way that cuts between them. But once a year, on the 7th day of the 7th month, a bridge of magpies forms over the star Deneb, bridging the Silver River and allowing the lovers to reunite for a single day. Beautiful, heartwarming, remind me to never pick a fight with a magpie. Apparently those little scamps are stronger than they look. You say...
I mean, there's star-crossed lovers in there. Honestly, yeah. The Japanese version of the story calls the Weaver Girl Orihime,
slow.
And the cowherd Hikobashi, which are still just literal descriptions of their jobs. Weaving Princess and Boy Star, respectively. This version of the festival is Tanabata. Talking Ox, who was here all along, is my favorite character. Yeah, that's gotta be my favorite. Alright, so yeah, let's get into Nah, I gotta say that Weaver Girl is my favorite though. Alright, so yeah, talk to you guys in the next video. Tell me who's your favorite down in the comment section, and also comment what videos you want me to react to next. Talk to you guys in the next video, and peace.